Shana Tova, a happy and sweet new year to you and to your loved ones and to the world. I'm going to share with you now a little sermonette, um, just a chance to speak heart to heart. And also at the conclusion, I'll be sounding the shofar. This is particularly for the benefit of those who may not be able to be at a service live during the holiday, which begins tonight. But of course, the sermon is for everybody, and please do share. I'm not going to try to drag us down with this sermon. I can see the title now, based on today's news, this week's news. How about this? Is it hate to hate a hater? Sounds like, can you give a mouse a cookie or something? No, I'm not going to go in that direction. It's an important question, by the way, but not a great high holidays sermon. As we step into a new year, our despondency seems to have become permanently imprinted on our souls. And I'm reminded that it is hope that is the thing with feathers, residing permanently in each of us, always there to lift us up in the toughest of times. And there's one prayer that pierces the pessimism and startles us with a flash of hope and a glimmer of a promise of renewal. Now, Judaism guides us always to have hope. As long as there is life, there is hope. And that message comes in the form of a prayer that is part of the very first thing uttered as we enter the new year. It's a blessing known as the Shehechianu. Praised are you, Adonai, our source, who has revived us, sustained us, and brought us to this moment in time. Shehechianu, v'kiyamanu, v'higiyanu, lazman hazeh. There are prayers, and there's the Shehechianu. For Jews, no matter what our background, only the Shema and possibly the Kaddish are more universally known than this liturgical gem. It is a prayer imbued with history and laden with the positive teachings about the value of life and seizing the moment. It helps us to appreciate every small gift we receive, from an article of clothing to a first fruit to a new baby, and to see it all as a gift from God. It is what we say when we kiss the soil of Israel for the first time and the cheek of our grandchild at her bat mitzvah. This prayer is filled with more emotion than 100 Olympiads and more tears than the end of Casablanca. When I awoke from my prostate cancer surgery last March, I recited the Shehechianu. When the catheter was removed 10 days later, I recited the Shehechianu and a couple of thank gods in addition. I'm told it's a coin flip that the cancer will return. So every time the blood work tells me that it hasn't yet returned, I recite a Shehechianu. This is a prayer for a life lived at the edge. And at the edge is the only place life is worth living. There's something very odd and seemingly self-contradictory about this prayer in Jewish practice. Here is a blessing that's supposed to be recited only on very special occasions or when doing something for the first time, yet we do it so darned often. On the high holidays, it almost gets ridiculous. We say it when we light the candles on Rosh Hashanah, both nights. When we say the Kiddush, the prayer over wine, both nights. And at services and at home, we say it. When we eat a new fruit and wear new clothing, both of which are customary on this holiday, we say it when we blow the shofar. We say it after Kol Nidre and when lighting candles before Yom Kippur. So we say over a dozen Shehechianus on these 10 days alone. And that doesn't even count those that we recite for reaching our individual milestones. Jewish law enjoins us to recite the Shehechianu for all types, even for buying a new car, even the appreciation of one's investments. The 16th century law code known as the Shulchan Aruch says that the blessing can be done at the moment of purchase rather than having to wait to actually use the item because it's a natural outpouring of the, quote, joy of the heart to acquire something new. If we really took this to heart, we'd actually be reciting more prayers at the local mall than we do at the synagogue or online when shopping at any site that we don't happen to be boycotting at the moment. And the floor of the stock exchange would be routinely echoing with more joyous davening, praying, than Friday afternoon at the Western Wall. But don't get me wrong. Shehechianu is not about acquisition and ownership. It's not that we're not exalting possession. Shehechianu is all about the joy of newness, new things, new people, new seasons, new epochs, newness. Because newness implies renewal, and renewal implies revival, and revival implies the triumph of life over death. Every moment worthy of a Shehechianu is a moment framed in eternity. A blessing, any blessing, is a celebration of the here and now. The word brecha, or rather bracha, shares etymological roots with the word brecha, which in Hebrew means a pool of water. And how is a blessing like a swimming pool? Because when we jump in, we really awaken. The shock of the cold and wet brings radical awareness. Our nerves tingle. We suddenly become completely aware of parts of us that we hadn't noticed in days. Then the survival instinct takes hold. Our arms and legs act urgently to get us to the surface. Breathing is no longer taken for granted. And the water transforms us, refreshes us. Jumping into a pool, we feel fully alive. And that ubiquitous word for life, chai, forms the root of the word shehechianu. A shehechianu moment is much like what we boomers used to call a Kodak moment. When we take a picture, take a photo, we're trying to freeze an instant of sublime happiness in time so that we can retrieve it later on when we need to reconnect with our truest selves. The Shehechianu, like a photo, captures these priceless moments. But unlike a photo, it also connects each moment to the bigger picture. It links all the pictures together in the album, and every album to the eternal web of life. I can recall saying Shehechianu so many times while on the pulpit. Each holiday, each bar and bat mitzvah, each conversion I presided over, each one a step, each moment priceless. And I recall saying Shehechianu every Rosh Hashanah. The milestone marker becomes the link back to when my father and mother used to say it while I was growing up, and my grandparents before them. This prayer helps us to connect the dots of our lives and thereby to connect our lives to the lives of those around us, those who preceded us, and those who will follow us. When we manage a glimpse of the big picture from time to time, it helps us to enjoy the ride because we realize that history is going somewhere, that our actions do have meaning, that our lives do have a purpose. When we see the present moment as the nexus of all that has happened in the past and all that will happen in the future, and when we live to be fully present in the here and now, it is as if we are present at the creation itself. Hayom Harat Olam. Today, the world is born. No wonder both the Torah and Haftorah readings on the first day of Rosh Hashanah deal with children being born. And in a sense, we are all born on this day. And we are giving birth to the future. For the most part, when we're not living life at that edge, we drift. When we allow days and nights to run into each other like wet ink on a white page, we lose the dots. We don't make the connections. It's a spiritual death, and we're all on the danger list. Shehechianu helps us to gain our bearings again. It puts us right back on that edge. Its reference to revival makes us all the more acutely aware of our mortality. From that moment of revival, that utterance of Shehechianu, emerges the seed of new life. Which brings me to this exquisite statement of faith, a Shehechianu moment shared with us by my dear friend Pamela Cohn Allen, who wrote this as she neared the end of her long struggle with cancer. Every day and at many moments I recite a Shehechianu, she wrote. A particularly meaningful one, though, was this past spring. Throughout the previous year, filled with such struggle, mental and physical pain, I had held as a beacon spring in Israel. If only God would give me the strength, that was my goal. I had learned as an immediate instinct after being diagnosed with cancer not to plan, but at some point, as my strength started to build up, I cherished the goal of being in Israel during the spring. At the end of March, I set the Friday night table of my sister in Jerusalem with her beloved family. We held hands and hearts with quiet, over-brimming joy, and we recited the Shehechianu. And so today, from the depths of our souls, we breathe in life and exhale a prayer, Shehechianu. For the Jewish people reborn in our ancient land, in the hopes that they and we can shake off the barnacles of cynicism and despair that have so hardened our hulls, to fight there and here for justice, equality, and peace in America, in Israel, and throughout the world. Shehechianu, for you, for me, for everyone who is truly alive, for everyone who rejoices in this wonderful, astonishing ride of life. May we say Shehechianu now. May we say Shehechianu for a reborn world in a year to come, next Rosh Hashanah, and the Rosh Hashanah after that. May we say Shehechianu for a reborn America, for a reborn Israel, at peace in her neighborhood, and for all of us. Shehechianu, v'kiyamanu, v'higiyanu, lazman hazeh. Now I'll recite, or rather, I will say, the introduction for the shofar and sound it for you. Just announce the notes, and if you hear a dog in the background, that's my Bubala Kobe, who just loves to bark when he hears something unusual. Tkiya, Shvarim Trua, Tkiya, Tkiya, Shvarim, Tkiya, Tkiya, Trua. Should I? Tkiya Gedola. Shana Tova, a good, sweet year filled with good health, with love, and with peace. Thank you so much for listening to me, for watching me, for responding to my postings on Substack, and for subscribing. I've so appreciated continuing our relationship and enhancing it over the past year and will continue for the next, God willing, another Shechechianu moment to come.